Welcome to Rapid Retro, a career-focused shortcast with an agile twist from Agile People Ops. Through this series, we're going to get a glimpse into the careers of leaders, founders and specialists from across the globe, using an old faithful retrospective as a backdrop for our conversations, loved, lacked and longed for. Welcome Jeet, Mukerji, CEO of Kinfolk, to the Rapid Retro podcast. I would love for you to just give an overview and an introduction into who you are and what you do, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, hey Roxanne, thanks for having me on the podcast. It's a real pleasure to be here. As you mentioned, I'm the co-founder of Kinfolk. It's a people enablement tool that helps people teams orchestrate people programs and learning across the life cycle. And the reason we built this out is because people teams are asked to do more and more with less and less, and it's becoming impossible for them to provide the high touch enablement to every employee to perform at their best. So with Kinfolk, what we're doing is basically they can scale their expertise to everyone with a few clicks. So it's like each person has their own people partner and the L&D team's expertise, especially managers. And the way that we do that is with automated playbooks, what we call them, that centralizes all the content, the communications and the actions in one place. And it automates that task enablement and guidance directly by Slack and Teams and microsites in the moments that really, really matter. So it's real time as well.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, hopefully we can see how you've scaled your expertise through the retro. So we kick off on the first segment, which is loved. So what have you loved about your career? What's your proudest achievement? Could you give us an insight into that?
Yeah, and this has been a great question, and it's allowed me to kind of reflect on the career as well. So thank you for that. It's also been a really hard one to answer because experiences kind of compound and like one thing leads to another. So it's all kind of connected, right? So I think the easiest way for me to answer it would be, what am I most grateful for most recently? And I think that is starting Kinfolk and really bringing people along in the mission. So whether that is the new hires that are starting in the next couple of months who believe in it, whether it's the customers who have taken a leap of faith in our early days, whether it's our investors who have done the same thing as well. So that's been a really grateful and proud moment. And then if I think about what's how we've got here and what's led to that, I'm really quite grateful for having the opportunity as the head of product at Hubble and then becoming a product manager at Beamery prior to that, which led to this, which has given us the experience of how do we bring in some of those product management principles into the learning and HR space. And then even before that, I've been exceptionally grateful for being able to manage bands and grow the bands and see those bands perform in excellent venues, because that's how I met the people who allowed me an opportunity in product management, which then led to Kinfolk. So as I say, hard to answer, but in this moment of time, Kinfolk and then all those things that led to it as well.
Did you say you were managing bands, Jeet?
I was, yeah. So I used to work for Universal Music, and I guess the red thread is that I love seeing people grow and develop and achieve their full potential. And seeing that band go from playing in venues of 30 people to 500 people, and we eventually ended up playing at Coco in Camden. That was incredible. And then from there, I then made a real pivot or a real squiggle into the world of product management in B2B SaaS and HR tech. So yeah, that's how I ended up here.
That's quite a pivot. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I love the kind of mission that you have there about bringing people along and centering that kind of that people approach, which you often find in the agile kind of space and the agile community. Thank you for that. So I guess with such a squiggly career, are there any things that you would change if we move into the lacked segment?
Yeah, I wish that I would have invested time in finding a mentor in my 20s or as early as possible, because yes, as you've just highlighted, it was quite a pivot, it was quite a squiggle, and I've had prior squiggles as well from there before, and alongside that I've also been pretty lucky, so the squiggles have turned into pretty serendipitous meetings, and I've had a pretty privileged career, if I could put it that way. And while that's been great, what it has done is extended the time it's taken me to find what I'm really, really passionate about. And I wish I'd had that mentorship to be able to reduce that luck factor and be more intentional about the decisions and the goals. And maybe it would have fast-tracked things, and maybe we would have been able to focus on the things that we really, really love and that we're really good at, basically our ikigai, much faster. which we're still working on at the moment, and I'm sure everyone continues to work on. But yeah, having that person, that guide to support us along the way may have probably helped more.
Absolutely. I think there's so much to be said about the power of people and sort of the networking and the ability to reflect with somebody else. And I like the point you make about making your own look. It reminds me of a book that I read called You Owe You, where there's a whole section about how you build out your connections, how you put yourself in certain positions and develop your own growth to create and generate your own work, which I really love.
Yeah, and we're seeing that, a little bit even with the new VCs that have invested in Kinfolk in our pre-seed round, and because of their network and because we are able to tap into that level of expertise that they have, it's actually fast tracking our learning, and it's creating more luck for us because we are able to tap into that knowledge that they have in their network as well. So yeah, again, being able to dive into things and find the right people who have gone through that journey before or who are experts in the space also compounds that luck and fast tracks it, I feel.
Absolutely. So just sort of leveraging the learning of others.
Exactly.
Yeah. So with that said, there's a lot going on at Kinfolk at the moment. What would you like more of? Like, how could you continue to build out? What's the dream there?
Yeah, I mean, I think, as I was saying earlier on, with our mission of helping people achieve their best, in order to do that, we need to be able to perform at our best. And I think in order to do that, it then comes down to what we were just touching on, which is it's all about the people and it's all about the network. People are actually incredibly helpful. And I think it's one of the ways that you and I met as well when we were doing early discovery on Kinfolk. So what I long for at the moment is to go back to that discovery phase and be able to talk to as many people as possible, as many experts as possible at the coal face, and continue to do that and make that more of a priority so that we can build the best products and the best solutions for them and keep that front of mind. I think we've been a little bit operational recently. We focused on VC funding so that we can deliver it, but now it's really time to get back to it and be as close to the problem and those who are dealing with the problems as possible.
Excellent. So you're looking at re-establishing all those feedback loops as we do in that kind of agile and product space. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Definitely longing for that type of working again.
Thank you. So it wouldn't be a podcast without an extra question. So in terms of if somebody was following a similar path to you, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, and this is a tough one, of course. And of course, I'm just a sample of one, so take everything I say with a pinch of salt here. But I think that the thing to do, I would say to them, is to err on the side of action. And of course, you have to be curious and you have to be hungry to learn. And I feel the best way to learn, aside from mentors, is to do it and to do that thing and not to wait and not to ask for permission and just try it. Even if it means speaking with people, as I was saying, people are more helpful than I think we give credit to them for. As we get older, I think we become quite fearful and we put our guard up, and it kind of slows us down to act and learn. And I think so early in people's careers, if they lean in more on action as a way of learning and kind of fast tracking, finding what we're exceptional at, we can then double down much faster later on. And then everything feels kind of serendipitous and connected. So yeah, I would say if you can, opt for learning and trying things early on. Focus on that as opposed to focusing on how can I make money if you are privileged enough to be in that position. And then later on, once you have that foundation, that money will follow.
I love that. I'm hearing the themes of sort of curiosity and experimentation. And I have to say, across all the guests that I've spoken to, that seems to be what really shines through, is that people in this kind of agile space are very curious, love to give things a go, and then learn and iterate from there. Before I let you go, Jeet, do you want to just shout out any of your contact details? Like, where can people find you?
Yeah, thanks, Roxy. So the best place to find us is kinfolkhq.com. That's our website. But if you want to connect with me directly, I'd love to hear from you. You can find us on LinkedIn. I'm sure the URL will be posted along with the podcast as well. But that's the best way to get in touch with me. Other than that, there's also email. So that's Jeet, Jeet @kinvohq.com.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you so much, Jeet. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you.
Likewise. Thanks so much for having me on board.
Jeet has truly had a squiggly career that has led him to all kinds of paths, from the music industry to the SaaS and HR tech space. His mention of mentors coming into his life earlier being something he changed stood out for me. And there are lots of ways we can find mentors, whether it's through our networks on LinkedIn or in the workplace through informal means, or through our professional bodies you may belong to, such as the Institute for Leadership, for example. Having experienced both informal and formal mentorship in the past, I can certainly vouch alongside Jeet how influential they can be for your growth. If you'd like to see more content from Agile People Ops, then check out their LinkedIn, website, and of course their YouTube. This was the Rapid Retro Podcast. I've been Roxy Allen, and I guess I'll catch you in the next one.